I've been on a bit of a Community kick recently, and I'm not really sure why. I just missed the show and its weird, rapid meta-humor, so I've been watching random episodes here and there to satisfy my Community craving. Community is one of my favorite shows ever. Seasons 1 to 3 are top-tier television, and I wholeheartedly believe that Season 2 is some of the best television out there. The writing in this show is so well thought out, so witty. It's a non-stop onslaught of jokes and plot that somehow still manages to be coherent even with all that's going on. Ridiculous plotlines converge naturally, and jokes round themselves out in ways that you don't see coming. When I watch Community, I'm in awe of how effortless it seems, despite knowing a great deal of effort absolutely must have gone into every episode. One of my favorite exchanges between the 7 main characters comes in Season 1, Episode 3, titled Introduction to Film. I'm not even going to preface this with context or anything. For anyone who hasn't seen the show, this is what 90% of it is like.
Isn't Abed's dad a hardcore Muslim? They're not as understanding as Christians. You can get your head cut off with a salami sword.
Surely. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard.
Pierce will beat that in 1 minute.
This is really nice of you. The memo says 4 dreams.
You guys, are we going to study Spanish or keep getting involved in each other's personal lives? Hey, Troy sneezes like a girl.
And how about I pound you like a boy? That didn't come out right.
Why don't you all just leave him alone with his cute little baby sneezing?
You're not my mother.
She's not?
29 seconds.
It's so effortlessly good and fun. Community finds a lot of its charm from tiny details and background gags. For example, the length of the scene from when Jeff starts his timer to when he ends it is actually around 29 seconds. They really did that with the speed of the performances and the editing. Some more of my favorites include the mentions of Beetlejuice, with the third and final one coinciding with Beetlejuice walking by. At the beginning of Season 1, Episode 6, Jeff tells Abed that it makes the group uncomfortable when he talks about them like they're characters on a TV show, and Abed replies with,
I can lay low for an episode.
and lo and behold, he does just that. He disappears from the rest of the episode, for the exception of a tiny scene in the cafeteria.
Hi, Abed. Bye. He's just laying low.
There's also this.
So nobody feels that we almost caused a suicide?
We prevented one. Fabulous Neil felt like a nobody. And thanks to us, he's still out there doing this and that in the background.
And probably one of the greatest gags comes in Season 2. Spoiler alert, but near the end of the season, Shirley is in labor at Greendale, and Abed surprises everyone by knowing how to deliver a baby. He says it's because earlier that year, he delivered a baby in the back of an SUV. And if you rewatch the season, you'll see that in Episode 3, Abed does indeed deliver a baby in the back of an SUV, and no one else notices. It's not even a one-off gag in the background of this one scene. No, it's an entire subplot that takes place throughout the whole episode, and you'd never notice it on a first watch. You'd never think it was important until Shirley gives birth near the end of the season. This is what I'm talking about when I say Community is well written. It's not just normal good writing. No, it's good writing on steroids. It's setting up a seemingly inconsequential subplot at the beginning of a season and then bringing it full circle at the end of the season without the audience even realizing it. It's good writing on crack. And that extends to the characters. This show wouldn't be half as successful without the eccentric cast of characters it has to live out its wacky story. Community employs the tried and true style of sitcom characterization, which is usually characterization through caricature. Say that 10 times fast. Most sitcoms in recent memory are structured in a similar way. You take a mundane real-world setting and drop into it a group of characters that are all exaggerations of real-world people, usually with one distinct trait that's turned up to 11. Most sitcoms are just that. Friends takes place in an apartment complex in New York and is about 6 friends. The spoiled one, the smart one, the obsessive one, the weird one, the hot one, and the awkward one. The Office takes place at an office job and is about its employees. The overenthusiastic boss, the strange one who takes it too seriously, the quiet and visible one, the new guy who gets ragged on, and the apathetic, self-aware one who exists to react to the crazy things happening. Brooklyn Nine-Nine takes place at a police station and is about the cops who work there. The immature one, the overachiever, the badass, the dorky one, the weird one, the robot, and the Papa Bear. It's been done over and over again because it works, and Community isn't any different. Community takes place at a community college and follows one study group there, consisting of the smart one, the sweet one, the dumb one, the woke one, the robotic one, the old one, and the apathetic self-aware one who exists to react to the crazy things happening. But while Community plays into characterization through caricature, I think it has the most compelling character writing out of most sitcoms. Every one of these characters has layer after layer underlying the initial caricature they come off as. When we first meet Britta, she seems like a cool, down-to-earth mystery girl, but we realize that she's actually an incredibly insecure person with a big heart, strong beliefs, and good intentions that are often messed up by her flawed approaches to the things she believes in. Annie is a studious goody-two-shoes who's successful in school and has her life together, but she's actually self-conscious about her youth and inexperience in comparison to the rest of the group, is resentful of her need for organization and planning, and wishes she could let herself go every once in a while. Troy starts off as the cliché high school jock who's still riding on his glory days from when he was quarterback and prom king, but underneath that, he's actually a goofy kid with a lot of love to offer, who's much happier without that high school bravado. Shirley is the quintessential mother who's Christian, very loving, and strong, but she's also working hard to take back the life she feels she's missed out on, can be passive-aggressive in her nature, and has a narrow mind that she struggles to open. Pierce is the old white man that tells racist, homophobic jokes and can't really keep up with the rest of the group, but he's actually a very sad, lonely person who's been coming to Greendale for over a decade just for something to do, and all he really wants is to be part of something. Abed comes off as the robotic nerd with autism who is forever referencing other movies and TV, but he's actually an easygoing, self-confident, goofy badass with trauma in his past and a non-negotiable love for the friends that help him through it. And of course, there's Jeff, who comes off as an arrogant, entitled douchebag lawyer who expects the world to bow for him, but is actually a scared, deeply insecure man with a desire to be liked and needed by someone, a desire that often controls him mentally. In fact, there is a lot you could say about Jeff. Earlier, I alluded to the idea of the straight man, a common character trope in comedic shows. The straight man is often the most self-aware character out of the bunch. He understands that the people and situations around him are insane and appropriately reacts to them, how any normal person in the real world would. He's funny because of his deadpan, self-aware behavior, and he makes the eccentric situations more accessible to the audience. Think Jim Halpert, Michael Bluth, and Jeff Winger. Jeff definitely comes off as a straight man of the group at the beginning of the show, but the fantastic thing about him is that as you continue watching the show, you realize that Jeff is just as insane as the rest of the characters, if not more so. He just has years of practice pretending to be a functional adult, a result of his complicating upbringing. One of the main things that makes Jeff who he is his daddy issues. Jeff's father left him when he was very young, which understandably messed him up. But on top of that, his mother spent his entire childhood doting on him and praising him for the smallest of things, likely to overcompensate for his absent father. As a result, Jeff grows up to have a debilitating need for affection from others, as well as a huge, unappealing ego that stops people from giving him that affection. His entire character is a paradox, and it keeps Jeff from finding true happiness. It's only after he's disbarred and forced to get his degree legitimately from Greendale that ego starts to deflate with the help of the other members of the study group. But as his ego deflates, his guards come up, because the ego was his defense mechanism from rejection, and if it's gone, there's nothing stopping this group of people from hurting him, or worse, leaving him like his father did. And when it seems like that might happen, well, he sort of loses it. See what I mean? Jeff is just as messed up as everyone else. Sure, Britta fell in love with the human embodiment of Subway. Sure, Annie loses it over her purple pen. Sure, Abed makes a religious film with him as the central god. Sure, Pierce rubs his balls on Fat Neil's sword during Dungeons and Dragons. Sure, Troy has a breakdown over LeVar Burton, and sure, Shirley runs a classist cult. But Jeff attacks their table with an axe because he doesn't want to lose the group. His need to be liked and cared for and needed by other people drives so much of his character in the early seasons, making him so much more than just a regular straight man. As the series goes on, Jeff continues to change and we see more of his vulnerabilities. Season 5, Episode 11, titled G.I. Jeff, is a genre episode parodying G.I. Joe. While the animated story is unfolding, we slowly learn that this whole thing is a hallucination, and Jeff is currently in the hospital after mixing pills with alcohol on his 40th birthday. This is interesting, as it sets up the trajectory that his character will follow in the next season, and also because it's a direct parallel to a Season 2 plotline where Pierce becomes addicted to painkillers and eventually overdoses on them. Jeff and Pierce's characters have plenty of parallels. Both have daddy issues and both have intense defense mechanisms as a result of their fear to let people close to them. It's often alluded that Jeff is afraid of becoming Pierce, since Pierce spent most of his life alone, all his relationships and friendships having failed. He resents Pierce, but he also learns a lot from him, which makes Pierce one of the most important people in Jeff's life. As time passes, Jeff becomes increasingly depressed. He's getting older, he's scared that life is passing him by, and he copes with it by drinking more and more. It gets to the point where Frankie calls him a functioning alcoholic, and all of this culminates in a confrontation that he has with Abed, where he admits that he's terrified that everyone else is going to move on and leave Greendale, and he'll be stuck here forever. It's a concern that sort of started in season 5 when he came back to teach, and it's only been building since then. I especially love that he talks to Abed about this, because it's a testament to their relationship. Jeff and Abed don't have a ton of their own storylines together, but whenever they do, it's almost always Jeff asking Abed for his help with something. Whether it's moving in with him after losing his house, or getting hammered to realistically drunk call Britta to even their score, or trying to fix a situation arising from a naughty text he unknowingly sent Britta's nephew from her phone, Jeff trusts Abed to help him with his problems. Similarly, Abed trusts and looks up to Jeff. Abed, as a neurodivergent person, has trouble understanding other people. Jeff, as a neurotypical lawyer, understands human nature better than most. Abed looks up to Jeff as someone who can help him connect with people. Seriously, aside from Troy, Jeff probably understands Abed the most out of the rest of the group. He's very protective of him, he indulges his hyperfixations, and more often than not, understands all his pop culture references.
I should build you a still for making Hawkeye martinis.
Of all your pop culture fixations, this is one I can work with, Abed.
Call me Radar.
When you've earned it. Why are you mining my life for classic sitcom scenarios?
I guess I'm just excited about the new year, looking for ways to improve things. I'm hoping we can move away from the soapy relationshipy stuff and into bigger, fast-paced, self-contained escapades.
I'll help you connect with people, and you help me do a better job with them.
Like Knight Rider.
Exactly. Like Knight Rider.
I'll put on a leather jacket and make out with an aerobics instructor. You pull around front and comedically startle passersby with your ability to talk.
Maybe we should just stay here and have a plate of chicken fingers.
Can we eat them while sitting on a table like in 16 Candles?
Pick one reference, Abed.
16 Candles.
In the moon.
Hey! What the hell? Hey, what? What the hell?
Sorry.
Animal House. A reference my ears applaud.
I couldn't resist.
Abed, close.
Oh, don't worry about me. I can only connect with people through movies.
She's the Ark of the Covenant. Gwennifer, hi. Yeah, it's me. I can't make it. Well, tell your disappointment to suck it. I'm doing a bottle episode.
Even when he's insulting Abed, he's still speaking Abed's language.
By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you canceled.
Oh, good. Yeah, Abed, cancel us. And while you're at it, why don't you take your cutesy I can't tell life from TV gimmick with you? You know, it's very season 1.
I can tell life from TV, Jeff. TV makes sense. It has structure, logic, rules, and likable leading men. In life, we have this. We have you.
Side note, this is one of my absolute favorite lines from the entire series. It is so good. This show is already full of well-constructed poetic monologues. I mean, almost every single episode ends with a Jeff speech, but that outdoes every single one. That crap is poetry. It makes sense that the relationship between Jeff and Abed is as important as it is. Jeff may have started the fake study group, but Abed was the one to invite the rest of the members. Abed is the one who got the study group together, meaning Abed gave Jeff the most important thing in his life. So in the finale, when Jeff hugs Abed twice, it makes me emotional, sue me. Community's 7 characters are all such distinct people that work well in this setting, and work well together. The show starts off building up a relationship between Jeff and Britta, which is interesting because they're the definition of opposites attract. Jeff doesn't care about anyone but himself, while Britta goes out of her way to be as selfless as possible. Jeff is a narcissistic dickwad F-boy who's never had trouble getting with women, and Britta is a headstrong, overly self-respective woman who thinks getting with Jeff is the most unappealing thing on the planet. But while they have their differences, they also have their similarities. Britta says that she cares about people and tries to prove it with her actions, but she's actually just as selfish as Jeff.
The Red Cross. You know what that makes me? A terrible person. Because if that camera wasn't on me, I would have taken that money right out of the mouths of crippled, starving, malaria-ridden refugee kids, and now I know that. Forever.
She just has more of a conscience and is therefore better at hiding it. She's still good at heart, but does have to think about herself sometimes, which of course she finds terrible. It's a lot. Britta's a lot. And all of these characters are a lot, which makes them fantastic. Troy and Abed are another pairing that are so fun to watch. Just like Jeff and Britta, Troy and Abed are the classic opposites attract scenario. High school jock and weird nerdy kid become inseparable friends, and each makes the other a better, more genuine version of themselves. It's beautiful. But probably one of the most surprisingly successful pairings in the show is Jeff and Annie. Jeff's jaded and cynical persona in combination with Annie's enthusiastic and dedicated personality makes these two greatly entertaining to watch. This dynamic makes for a fantastic friendship and a strong, slow-burn romance that never does fully come to fruition, which is just another part of what makes them so good. There's a ton of different traits in about 15 years between them, yet they work so well together. Community not only has incredibly complicated characters that all share unique relationships with one another, but it also plays with characters in such fun ways. The genre/parody episodes of Community are some of the best of the entire show, and they're almost always used as a way to explore a deeper character conflict. Contemporary American poultry is structured like a classic 70s mafia film akin to Goodfellas. It follows the study group as they set up a fried chicken dealing empire, but is actually about Jeff's issues with losing control and Abed's desire to connect to people. A Fistful of Paintballs and For a Few Paintballs More are old Western and Star Wars style paintball episodes, but are actually about the conflict between Pierce and the rest of the group. Pillows and Blankets is a Ken Burns style documentary about a school-wide pillow fight, but is actually about the friendship between Troy and Abed. Geothermal Escapism is a survival/apocalyptic story about a school-wide game of The Floor is Lava, but is actually about Abed's fear of Troy leaving. There are a bunch more examples, but you get the point. Community never spoofs a certain genre or property for the heck of it. They always connect it back to a larger character conflict. Except in Season 4. The gas leak year made some rocky decisions. Other than the genre episodes, there are other ways Community plays with character. In Season 3, Episode 5, titled Horror Fiction in 7 Spooky Steps, the study group has a Halloween party where Britta tells Jeff that one of the members of the group has severe homicidal tendencies according to the scores of a test she had them fill out for her psych major. To figure out who it is, Britta has everyone tell spooky stories, and we get to see them played out by the study group. The narration here is gold, as every character has to act and deliver lines the same way the narrator would.
He was last seen in the woods and has a thingy for a hand, a hook thing where his hand should be. You know what
Getting stabbed with this hook hand thing!
Oh my god! No! I was right!
Britta's story is ineloquent and half-hearted, while Abed's is straight-cut and overly clinical.
I just brushed my teeth, so this would be the optimal time to kiss. Enjoyable, soft lips, just the right level of moisture.
Would you like to do it again?
No.
Annie's is melodramatic and uses tropes that young women would enjoy.
You may choose not to believe in them, but I am a monster. Wait! Teach me to read.
While Shirley's is a caricature of what bad, godless teenagers are like.
Oh man, my drugs are wearing off. Who's got more?
Here you go, baby!
All right, all right.
And of course, Pierce's has his portrayal of people of color.
Yo, 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 yo. What's we got here?
This is a home invasion, you jive mother!
And his impression of himself.
Oh my God!
Every story is hilarious, and they're made even funnier by the maintained voice of whoever is telling the story. A similar thing happens in the series finale, and it's just as good there. We also get to see other characters tell stories in their voices, like Frankie, Chang, and the Dean. Each voice is so unique to that character. You could probably know whose story it was without actually being told, just from hearing the voice of the story. But Community doesn't need full episodes to explore character. Something as simple as a recurring joke does wonders to flesh out a person, the best example being Shut Up, Leonard. Leonard is a recurring character on the show. He's got a lot of attitude and often shows it off to the study group in particular. Whenever this happens, the study group will always tell him to shut up, but they also follow that with a very specific insult that has something to do with Leonard's personal life. It's amazing every time. Here are some of my favorite Shut Up Leonards throughout the show.
You're gonna look like an ass in those.
Shut up, Leonard. I talked to your son on Family Day. I know all about your gambling.
All hail Sir Eats Alone.
Shut up, Leonard. I heard about your prescription socks. Shirley asked me to say something nice at her wedding.
This is the rehearsal.
Shut up, Leonard. Those teenage girls you play ping pong with are doing it ironically.
Give me some credit, Winger. What's the worst that could happen?
Classic tee-up.
Shut up, Leonard. I know about your crooked wang.
Classic wrap-up.
Shut up, Leonard. I've got a picture of your old nose. It was a lateral move.
That's been out.
Shut up, Leonard. I once mistook 6 people for you at a pharmacy.
It's a really simple gag, but it's also a fun way to characterize this side character without lending too much time to him. You get such a good idea of who Leonard is as a person just from these little quips alone. All you need to know about him can be found in Shut Up, Leonard. nerd. On top of that, this gag implies that there's a never-ending flow of knowledge about this one student throughout the school that everyone knows. It's hilarious. These are all fun, creative ways Community plays with character writing, but as I was rewatching random episodes, I actually think I found one of my favorite instances of character work in the show. It occurs in Season 3, Episode 7, titled Studies in Movement. In the episode, Annie is in the process of moving in with Troy and Abed, and everyone comes over to help her. Everyone except Jeff, who's supposedly sick. Britta thinks this is bull, so she calls Jeff. Jeff is definitely not sick. He's at the mall and has a whole plan in motion to make Britta think he actually is sick and is in the hospital, which works. However, he runs into the dean, who subtly blackmails Jeff into spending the day with him in exchange for him keeping his mall trip a secret from the rest of the group. Jeff hates every second of it, but then they sing karaoke, which is amazing, and he actually ends up having some fun. After the song is over, the dean says this.
And you emailed your therapist that you wanted to be alone this weekend.
And this is how Jeff finds out that the dean is reading Greendale students' emails, which is obviously a huge violation of privacy. For the majority of the episode, we're made to believe that Jeff is pretending to be sick to get out of moving some boxes, but after learning that he emailed his therapist about wanting to be alone, we can infer that it's actually a lot more than just not wanting to move boxes. Obviously, the punchline of this scene is that the dean ambushed Jeff at the mall for a chance to spend the day with him, but if that was the only goal of the scene, then Jeff could have been emailing anyone about his desire to spend the weekend alone, his mom, a potential date, what have you. But the line specifically is that he was emailing his therapist, which makes that feel significant to me. It leads me to believe that he genuinely wasn't feeling great mentally and just needed to be alone, to take a day for himself to recharge. This could be further backed up by the exchange he has with the store employee who helped him pull off the lie. She clearly wants to go out with him, but he just keeps talking about trying on clothes. Jeff is not usually one to pass up a date with a beautiful woman, so the fact that he doesn't want to go out with her is telling. And when the dean shows up at the mall, Jeff being upset isn't just because he doesn't want his lie to be exposed and that he doesn't want to hang out with the dean, but it's because he doesn't want to hang out with anyone. He wants to be alone. The whole thing is really small, but I think it's significant, and it's just another example about how thorough Community's characterization is. The final thing I want to talk about is also one of my favorite things about Community's characters, and that is that they suck. I mean, they're bad people. Every single member of the study group is awful in some way, and when they're together, that awfulness comes out even more. It's funny because this group is definitely the best thing to happen to these people, but it's simultaneously toxic and bad for everyone around them. Nobody likes the Greendale 7. The show makes that very clear.
We came so close to having one class that wasn't all about them.
Remember when they all took that fishing trip on St. Patrick's Day?
God, that was a good week.
They're insufferable. They have the most main character energy you've ever seen, and the thing is that they never get better. They start off obnoxious and they end obnoxious, and that's very deliberate. The show itself plays on the fact that every single character is kind of crap and they don't care. What matters to them is that they're together. And I love that. Not many shows commit to the idea that their characters are bad people, especially if the show isn't outwardly about an anti-hero. The only other show I can really think of that commits to the they're all crap thing is Fleabag. If you don't know, the characters in Fleabag are all kind of crap. They're all incredibly layered and have so much going on with them, the same as Community's characters, but on the surface, in the things they say and do, they're more or less assholes, and they don't necessarily get better. They definitely grow as people and follow complete character arcs, but they don't become objectively likable, and they're not really supposed to. I think Friendly Space Ninja said it best.
They're still assholes in the final episode, but they're assholes you kinda care about now.
And I think the same applies to Community. Community's characters being assholes works perfectly for the kind of show it is. Community is about a community college, a place that is often seen as second-rate and at last resort for people who have messed up in life. And for the most part, the show sticks with that idea. Greendale is falling apart, it has no money, and every main character did technically mess up somehow in their lives. Jeff faked his law degree, Britta dropped out of high school, Annie developed a pill addiction and dropped out, Troy hurt his shoulder and lost his football scholarship, Abed's father is controlling his life, Shirley's marriage falls apart, and Pierce has nothing else going on in his life. These people could have had lives and experiences that society would see as more impressive. In fact, a lot of them did before attending community college, but they find their true happiness at Greendale. They become better people at Greendale, even if they're still assholes in the grand scheme of things. They're awful, they're crazy, they're deeply flawed. But as Jeff said in Season 1, Episode 5,
because if crazy people can't be at Greendale, where are we supposed to go?
To a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. light hits the glue.